Hi, this is Brent with Theoretically Practical, and today we're going to be working on Honeybee, my 1991 Land Rover Defender 90. It's got the 200 TDI engine, and it is right-hand drive, so it originally came from the UK, and I have removed a substantial portion of the UK that was stuck inside the frame as mud. But today we're working on the seatbelt mounts, which are just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And, well, I'll show you how they work. This part of this mount here goes up against the floor of the inside. This is your seatbelt mount. So the seatbelt bolts to this, the floor is here, then for whatever reason it's got this extra angle to it, you know, for extra pull, I guess. And then where we attached those plates to plate over the sections that looked pretty tough, we're going to show a picture of that right here. And those parts plated over, that's where that bolts to. But that doesn't still attach to the frame. So it's just attached to aluminum plate here, and not very thick aluminum either. So as I'm sure, an afterthought, the great engineers at Land Rover put this bracket on the back. Now this bracket extends back over the frame, and then you have a mount there. As you can see, everything has a ton of slop in it, because there's no way you'd ever line anything up on this car if it was holes. You'll also notice that these brackets, everything is oblonged. It's not rusted out, it's oblong. So let's go, now that I've shown you this on the bench, I'm gonna go hold it sort of up in place so you can really get an understanding of what we're talking about. Okay, so these are the plates we welded up the other day. I put zinc chromate primer on them and one coat of black paint. I need to put a few more coats on, but either I'll just take it all apart and coat it when I'm done, because it can dry during the week when I have nothing else to do. So let's take a look at this whole contraption now. So first you've got, this unscrews, let's go. All right, you've got your seatbelt end, which I'm gonna replace these because one of them may or may not have lit on fire while I was welding, and this one is held together with duct tape. This probably doesn't make it any less safe. So this bolts through one of these holes up here, right? So you've got that bolted through right there. And then you have, whoa, get it all there, Tiger. Then you have this that bolts up to the ceiling like that, which is this angled sideways bracket. And then where this bolts through there, I'll have to drill that hole out after I bolt it to there. Then on the back side, you have this weird looking bracket. The reason it has two sets of holes is so it can be either side, because the official Land Rover version of this costs, I don't know, because I refuse to look it up, but the Bear Mock version, which is galvanized and perfectly adequate, was like $7.99. So which way are you gonna go? So that actually goes up where you can't see now. So you'd have this plate bolted to the front, which you can't see, and then this would come along the back like thus and bolt into that, and then these captive nuts would be in a U-shaped piece of metal on top of the frame right there. So let me just whack the thing until you can't see anything of what I'm doing. So basically right here, especially right where that little weld spot is, that's where that U bracket was. And it was so corroded, I actually had to cut a plate out there and weld a piece in. There was just nothing left of them. I did not have to remove them with tools. I just grabbed them and yanked them off the frame. So that explains to you how lovely it was up here. So anyways, we're gonna be making new brackets. I've got some, it's a little bit thicker than 16 gauge. Square tubing. It's a little lighter than what I would like, but it's what I could get, and I think it'll be adequate for the job, because I'm going to keep this you know, coated nicely, so it's not going to rust out quickly like the material that originally was there. So the original material lasted 30 years, so I'm okay with a solution that's good for 20 or 30 years again. So now there's the bracket. It's in position. It's got to be rotated that way, and we're just going to cut a piece from about, you know, about there to about there of the square tubing I've got. I'll get that cut and come back, and I'll show you how to scribe it off so that it should ostensibly fit. So, okay, so this is going to get welded right to the frame, right about there. So obviously you can't see it, but I'll scribe the line and show you. There's a big difference between the angle of this surface and the angle of that surface. And actually this tube is kind of not quite what I wanted, is it? I'm gonna go with the it'll work because that's what I want it to do. And we'll see how it works out. I don't have a good scribe, so what I'm actually using is a piece of tungsten that I sharpened up to a fine point. And you can see I got this nice scribe line on it. If I cut it on that line, and then, so this is cut, and I had it this way, I'll put it upside down on the material and it should sit flat. I'm just gonna cut this across here and do the same cut across the other side as best I can, and we'll see what we get. Okay, we're back, and here's the bracket, part 1. You see if it goes up there, it looks pretty much like it would in the factory. It's a little bit shorter than what I might have wanted, but this can pull down a little bit, and I think some of that's just how it's bolted up, so I'm not overly concerned by that. But what I'm gonna do is take this little pencil nub, reach in from the top, and trace out those circles on it as best I can. I don't know if that did anything at all. Oh yeah, it did. All right. Okay, so yeah, you can see it right there. There's one of the holes I marked up. There's the other one. I'm not actually gonna try to hit the center of this because it's not centered on this piece, which is what it needs, what it should be. So what I'm gonna do instead is measure about the halfway point of each of these, drill the hole and then this plate here goes up underneath it anyways. It's the nut plate, which I think I'm gonna actually go ahead and tack it to this. I don't, I'll probably try to put it together once with this loose, but if this thing ends up being a pain in the butt to slide in there and get the screws started, then, well, either I do it or I don't. I'm gonna drill the holes and see where it goes from there. I think these are probably also supposed to be slotted, and that's why this is like the way it is. But since we're making this for purpose, we'll do that. We'll bolt it up, and then I'll set up my TIG for very narrow working if I can. And I think I can sneak the torch in there and weld a bead, and sneak the torch in there and weld a bead. Still not positive what I'm doing there yet, but we will see. But first, drill the holes. Okay, I got that piece drilled out, but before I bolt it up in place, I gotta really take, I'm gonna use a burr like I use on pretty much everything for whatever, because it works. I'm gonna use a burr up here though and clean off as much of this as I can. I won't really be able to see how well I'm doing, but it needs to be clean enough to take a weld of some variety. All right, well, I can definitely reach this side with the MIG easily. I don't know about this side, but I'm gonna do the side I can do because it's worth it. Even if I can only do one side with MIG and I gotta take the other side or figure something else out. But I got my good MIG that you guys hopefully saw me convert from 3-phase to single phase. And if you haven't watched that video, there'll be a link right about there. It's cool. It's certainly the cheapest and easiest way to get a 300 amp TIG. So, all right. I cannot believe that that fit up in there. I won't show you the welds up close because they're not beautiful, but they have good penetration, and they look good enough for me. All right, let's take a look at that. Okay, so that's the homemade seatbelt mounts for the Defender 90, all MIG welded on there. I won't show you guys doing the second half because it's going to be the same thing, but left should be right, and I need more of these. I need more of these bolts because apparently I only have one of the fine thread M12, I think, fasteners, and the bolts that I got for here are actually they're just long enough for this spot, but on the ends where it'll also be going through, actually they should be long enough for that too. I just need another long one because I reused a crummy old fastener right there because it was what was long enough. So I need a couple of M10s that are a little bit longer. I need 3 more of these M12 or M13 fine threads, and then that'll be at the point where I can bolt all this up, which is what I'm going to try to do next and be able to show you guys for the end of the video. So that's about it for the moment. All right, so everything's painted. It's ready to rock and roll. We're going to do a few things here, though, to help protect it. Oh, crap. I'm going to go grab that stuff. And that stuff. Okay, so we're going to do a couple extra things to protect this material because basically the reason why it went away was because you had aluminum touching steel. So there's a couple different ways we can prevent that from happening. One is for the fasteners, it's called Ultra TEF-Gel, which you can't see because unfortunately the light's going to be really harsh because I could not use my softbox umbrella thing. I had to just take it off so I could fit it underneath the frame and actually get light over in this corner. So this is called Ultra TEF-Gel, that's TEF-Gel, we'll put a link below. It's a anti-corrosion, anti-seize lubricant. It's for boats, but the Defender forums say use it. So I'm gonna, because why not? And the other thing I got here is this blue plastic. It's actually, I think it's ultra high molecular weight polyethylene sheet with adhesive on the back. I got that from McMaster Carr. So I'm gonna slide, especially since I couldn't paint this because I had to weld this in place naked, I'm gonna slide it underneath there in between those two, and I'm gonna cut another piece for the face as well. And that should really, my theory is that will do the difference. And it's very, very thin, so even though it's a little bit hygroscopic, it'll absorb a little bit of water, it won't, it's just not enough of it to hold a lot of water. I'm gonna cut the first piece out and slap it on up. Okay, so we got this back of this thing here. This is the seatbelt reel mount. And then we're gonna slap that right on there. And then when we bolt it up, it'll be sandwiched there. And that should make a good amount of difference. For the top surface up here, I'm just gonna put a glove on, and for the top surface up here, I'm gonna put a glove on and just rub it on this surface of it. It's just gonna be tricky to cut. Maybe I'll cut a piece out. Let's see what I end up doing. How about that? Now, I'm not really concerned about ruining the adhesive on it. I didn't get it adhesive backed because it sticks and that's what I wanted. I got it adhesive backed because that should let me slap it on and it's not going to run away from me, basically. It's just to make my life easier more than anything practical. In fact, I think if I could do this easily without it being adhesive, I think that might be the better option. But this is what I decided on a while ago. This is what I'm going to use. I have not heard of anybody else doing this. This is my own stupid idea, so this is not one I can blame on the forums when it doesn't work. Now we'll go from, oh, this is going to be a, I don't know, we'll see. I still got faith. I got faith. You got to have faith in your process, even if you made it up and it doesn't make sense. And everything's that's going back in here because it's safety related and because these were all cheesed up pretty bad, is going to be all brand new fasteners. They're M8 if anybody cares. Come on. There we go. I'll get that in there. And I also don't know if you can see this, but there's a little extra sticking out of the sides. When everything's bolted, I'll just take a razor blade and trim that back. So, oh, this TEF-Gel. It's like the consistency of like really thick fluff. If you've ever had Marshmallow FLUFF. But I'm gonna goob it up liberally, because if a dab will do you, then a pound will be better. Or an ounce of dab is worth a pound of cure. Yeah, whatever. You certainly didn't log in to hear me philosophize about things. I hope you didn't. Okay, so there's that, there's that. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I need to get a better system, but this is the first one. So you guys always get to see the worst one. And then after that, I usually find my stride somewhere around the third or fourth one. And things go a little better then, but that's all right. It's all part of the in-flight entertainment package you guys signed up for. These are also nylock washers as well. So just in case you're wondering, I don't know why I went nylock in particular. I just think that it appealed to me the day that I was ordering nuts and fasteners from McMaster Car, which is my favorite place in the world. And I would want them as a sponsor, but man, if McMaster Car thinks they need my help, I'll be afraid. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna go back and get the top bolts off camera, but for now I'm just gonna back this all right up and go nuts with this thing. I also realize you guys can't even see my head. I'm just hiding here. I'm Kilroy, if anybody knows what that is, and I'm here. So I was all set to high speed through all this, and then I figured out how to put the tape on these properly. Basically, you put an oversized piece on, and you take a razor blade and draw it down the sides of everything, and it comes out really good, looks good, and it'll be fine. One thing about this is only a 32nd of an inch thick, so like 30 thousandths. It's not going to make a difference in the fitment of anything on this machine. Like the tolerances are not tight. So, anywho, so I'm going to slap this up in there. And I'm going to go along and bolt them all down. But now I'm pretty much ready to rock and roll, which is good. All right, we're going to look here at the final product. Seatbelt mounts are actually mounted to metal. Everything looks pretty good. So, next stop is the battery box, which is suspiciously not there. All right, guys, that about wraps it up for this episode of Theoretically Practical. It's not theoretically practical whether or not you should own a vintage Land Rover. It's impractical. It just is. But that's all right. So this thing has now seat belts that are actually attached to metal that's part of the frame for the first time in, I don't even want to guess how long. Because at least on the left side, where we put in that patch, you'll notice the outrigger on that side looked new. That's because it was brand new, because the old one was also in tatters. So the seatbelt hole mounting situation on this, I think, is a hack job anyways. It's definitely a Friday afternoon. We want to go off to the pubs and have a pint, you know, kind of a design scheme. But, you know, it is what it is. So, and now it's actually going to function as it was intended to. So, next week, I've got the YRM Metal Solutions battery box to this bad boy. It's aluminum, so we won't be bolting, you know, steel to aluminum, which is, I guess, the antithesis of the Defender way, but I suppose we'll muddle our way through. And then after that, there's a couple more little things on the frame. I don't know if I'll show myself fixing them or not. They're minor things. They just need a little welding and a little grinding. And I'm gonna try to clean this up. And then in a week or so, we should be doing the New Hampshire Oil Undercoating. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking like, oh geez, the New Hampshire Oil Undercoating is gonna make the installation process a bear, and you're probably right. But now is the time where I can get at everything underneath there. And once I put the fuel tank in, I won't be able to get at much there. Once the battery box, well, the battery box is going to go in first anyways, but once I start putting in the drivetrain, the hand motions will continue to get wilder. No, once I put in the drivetrain, a lot of things just become really inaccessible up on the underside of this, and that's where the aluminum to steel contact happens the most. So that's where I just want to absolutely bucket on this New Hampshire Oil Undercoating. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Have a great day.